I can't believe I'm saying this, but The Sheep Detectives is one of my top 3 favorite films of the year so far, so here are my full spoiler-free thoughts on the best and worst parts of the movie. First of all, I was blown away by how great the actual mystery portion of this movie is, because if you don't know, this is essentially a murder mystery movie, except the twist is that you're following a herd of sheep trying to solve the murder of their shepherd. That's not a spoiler, it's really just the entire premise of this movie. So you're literally just following sheep and then the townspeople separately trying to solve this crime of who committed the murder. And with that being said, Nicholas Braun plays the character Tim Derry, and he's by far and away my favorite character in this entire movie because he plays the police chief in this super small town where really nothing has ever happened. He's in way over his head, and he is just an absolutely hilarious character. He has so many funny lines in this movie. And really, this cast is pretty surprisingly stacked across the board. Like, obviously, it's led by Hugh Jackman. You got Nicholas Braun, Molly Gordon that are somewhat big names. Yeah, like Emma Thompson as well. But when you start getting into the sheep voices, where it starts getting really crazy, you got Bryan Cranston, you got Julia Louis-Dreyfus. The list just keeps going on and on. Like, you got Patrick Stewart as the voice of a sheep in this movie. Every time someone talks, you're like, oh wait, I recognize that person. Which obviously doesn't automatically make a movie just amazing or super good or anything, but they are all actually giving very good voice performances, and you do actually end up caring about all of these sheep. Because this movie clearly knows exactly what it is. Like, the premise of a murder mystery film where sheep are solving the mystery is obviously going to be somewhat silly and goofy anyways, but this movie takes that and also gives you some really sweet and endearing moments and like messages about loss, grieving, and acceptance. Some really funny like sheep meta humor, which is an insane thing to be saying, but like about things that real life sheep do, like being called the dumbest farm animal or forgetting things all the time. They play into that in a really smart and creative way. And like I said, they actually do have some really good emotional moments. Now, I have seen a bunch of videos of people like walking out of the theaters sobbing and crying, saying, oh my God, this is so emotional. And I'm not trying to take away anything from the film because I still absolutely love it. And I do think it nails a lot of the really emotional moments. There are some really sweet things and nice revelations that characters make in this film, but I wasn't really tearing up or anything. It's just like, oh, that's a sweet moment. Nothing that's like, oh my God, this is so devastatingly sad. But I think what really makes this movie work is actually the human characters. Because like I said, the sheep are great. They have some really funny moments. The voice cast is insane for them. But if it was really just 2 hours of watching sheep walk around talking to each other, it probably would have felt a little goofy, maybe a little too like Pixar-y, which I don't mean that in a bad way. Pixar movies are obviously incredible. This movie has a really fun human cast. I already mentioned Tim Derry, the policeman in this town. He's great. Molly Gordon plays Hugh Jackman's daughter in this film. Her and Hugh Jackman are both also really good in this. And the entire town is really just full of all these different over-the-top caricatures. Like, every single person is so uniquely distinct. It kind of feels like you're watching like a town out of Scooby-Doo or like Wednesday or something. But it's time to get really serious because yes, I do think this is the best movie that Hugh Jackman has been in named after an animal. I know everybody has been dying to hear my ranking of these 4 films. But what might be even crazier is I think this is actually the best film of 2026 named after a farm animal, just slightly beating out Goat, which I also did really enjoy. But I'm giving The Sheep Detectives a really strong 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this and I was not expecting to based on the trailer. But speaking of Goat, if you want to see my review of that movie, click the video at the top of the screen, or if you want to see all my other movie reviews on the channel, click the playlist at the bottom.